Okay, Photoshop fans, here we are in the back of this lovely estate. This building, by the way, is called the Medieval building. It's furnished in 16th century, not necessarily medieval, but 16th century furnishings. It's quite elegant. So let's see what we can do to enhance all of this. Let's point out a few things we're going to work on. Up here, we're going to change out the sky. This is overblown here in the forest area and the vines on the side of the tree, so we're going to cut that back. We'll brighten up a little bit here on these floral pieces. I don't know what those are. They're not bougainvilleas. Here's bougainvilleas, and we'll brighten those up too. And something on the building. We'll light the lights, and we'll just trip the whole thing fantastic. So here we go. First of all, let's get into Photoshop, and which we are in. Let's make sure we got a layers level in, layers palette in. So we'll go to Windows and the drop down, click on layers, and here it is. Good. So we've got history up here, and we've got our tools, and we have layers. So we're ready to go. Let's make the duplication on this icon here, which is that of the photo. If I click the eyeball, it takes it away. So to make that duplication, just hit Command J. We're going to work in the copy rather than the original, because if we need the original for any reason, we've always got it as the original copy. So that's what we have. Now let's get into this. Let's start by, where should we start here? Let's grab our brush. Let's go to Adobe Camera Raw. We're in Photoshop, so we're going to come up here to Filter, Camera Raw, and we're going to take down the vines. It's too bright. So we can just go ahead and start going down the tools, but I think if we start right with shadows, let's see what that does. Highlights. That helps immediately. There's the highlights down. And we could even take exposure down just a hair. Not much, if anything. Actually, it's at a +20, so that's fine. We'll move contrast up a little bit. Let's play with the shadows a little bit there. Okay. Whites, so that we know that we don't have any blown out areas. Look it up at there here, at the very top where the sky was. That's blown out. So take it up and then bring it back. The blacks. A little bit there, add a little clarity. Notice how it just pops when the mid-range, when the mid-tones are enunciated by using the clarity. Let's take a look at dehaze also. See what dehaze does. Like clarity, it adds a little punch into these mid-tones. Now we'll go with vibrance and saturation a little bit. Okay, let's do some brushing. Come up, grab our brush, reset everything to 0. And we haven't talked about temperature and tint. I think I'm pleased with that. Let's just see what it looks like if we move temperature down into the blues and we cool it down. Actually, we're in our brush, so it won't affect a global. So let's go ahead and just continue with the brush, and then we'll come back to temperature. So with the brush, we're going to bring the exposure down because we want to work a little bit more on this area, the little brighter areas, and then we'll go with that. Bring the highlights down like 2. And brush. Nice and light, not heavy. There we go. Do a little brushing on here, a little bit on the cobblestones or on the flagstones. Now let's change our brush, come up here, new. We're going to brighten it up now. Let's go the opposite direction. Exposure up. Let's brush on our branches, on our trees, on our bougainvilleas and plants. Make them bonito, huh? There we go. I like that. Now, let's add some color into the flagstone here. So we'll come up, new brush, add a little yellow, a little magenta. See that? I like that. That's a little too bright. So it looks like we have some action here. Continue brushing. New brush, we're going to work on the building of the tree now. Exposure, up. Brushing the, see how much is accomplished? New brush, we're going to work on the building. Watch what happens in here to the door when I move shadows up. Look at that. Shadows, what a wonderful tool, huh? So when you're working in landscape and architecture and buildings, move that shadows up as you work on the doorways and on the windows. It's amazing what you'll find. Sometimes I do the brushing on that, up the shadows, and I find things going on behind closed doors, more or less closed doors. All right? Now, let's go ahead and flip over to Photoshop, and we'll do our exchange here for the sky. Let's take this out here. So I'm going to use my brush, my healing tools. I'm going to use the healing brush tool. So with the healing brush tool, you need to first find the area that you're going to copy, which is this, and let's get that brush. We'll use our bracket keys or our plus keys, and we'll just brush some of these trees out of the way, the branches. So it's copying this area here. And we're coming off with a nice looking area of white. Oops. We could Command Z that out of there. There we go. Let's flip over to Adobe Camera Raw. And this area in here, we're going to brush a little differently. Go to the brush. Take the shadows out. Because we want this all white now in here. Because we're going to drop our sky in here, and we want this to be a nice backdrop of white. Okay. And down here a little bit. Now let's go back over to Photoshop. Our clone tool. Here, clone stamp tool, not clone pattern. Right, there we go. And what we're going to do is clone these trees up a little bit here. So take this down to 78, down to about 45%. There we go. Again, we're going to brush our sky in a little bit more. We clean it up. Just takes a little time sometimes, huh? Okay, we'll come back over here near the tree. Oops. Here we go. Smaller, gives a little edge here. So we're copying this right into here. There we go. Need to come take this stuff out of here. Clone it from up here down to here. Let's open this up a little bit more, do around 68. It takes a little time. Okay. This is the very top of that. We're going to take that out. Okay, time to put the sky on there. Let's clean this up a little bit more in here. We'll take the dome out entirely. Don't need it. There we go. Okay, that sky's gonna, new sky's gonna cover a lot here. So we've got our space here. We're gonna drop in our new sky. So what we do is go to File, Place Linked, and on your desktop or in a folder someplace, you should have a sky. I happen to have a whole folder called Clouds and Sky. And we're going to pick a sky out here. Let's go with this one, I think, here. Looks pretty. Yeah, I like it. Okay, it comes up. Click OK. Now we've just got to paste it into there. So drag it up. You can drag it down to cover. Come over here to opacity and reduced opacity, and you'll be able to see what you're doing a little bit better. And we'll move this into here. So, as you can see, the entire area is covered very nicely with our sky. So we'll bring the opacity up to 100%, hit OK, we're ready to go. Here's the neat little secret. Over here in layers, instead of normal, we're going to go to multiply. Look at that, it pops it right into the back there. Oops. Let's see what we do here. I like it. There we go, we'll make it fit a little bit better. Now we've got the outline of the photo of the clouds. So we need to eliminate that, and that's easy. So be sure you're clicking on the cloud, the cloud image here. Come down here and you're going to do a masking on that. Click your eyeball masking. So it's white there, and you need to come over here on your toolbar, and down here, this needs to be converted to black. So click X, and it changes it to black. So we have white and black. Now grab your brush. Move your tools up here to about 85 and flow, same thing. Look what happens. We just brush away those lines and it just reveals the background as it originally was. Let's bring the opacity down a little bit more. We don't need it quite that bright. And we're going to pause a minute. We just about have it done. Clean it up a little bit more. I like it, huh? Pretty nice. It's a lovely home to start with. Oh, we didn't do one thing. We got to light the lights. So we're going to go to Filter, Camera Raw again. Oops. You got to click on, not the sky, but on the image itself. Camera Raw. And we're going to use the elliptical tool. Put it in the center, bring it down, bring it over. Add a little brightness to it. Add a little yellow on it. And come over here and do the same thing. Eh? Do you like that? Let's brighten that up a little more yellow. A little more of the red. Oh, we didn't even need to do a little crop on this. Just a little bit. So hit OK. We'll go back to Photoshop. We'll grab our crop tool. And I want to bring this in just a little bit. Dead space over there. A little bit there. There, we can come in up a little bit more here. About like that. And finished. I like it. So give it a try.